Back at it again with the Mobius Dickus. Chapter 14, Nantucket. Let's do it. It's a shorty, so this ain't going to be long. But I did want to point out some funny stuff. I found the second paragraph hilarious where our boy Ishmael is talking about Nantucket, which, by the way, if you're curious, I guess I should show you this real quick. Bing, bang, boom. There is Nantucket, way off the coast of Massachusetts. I don't know what that distance is, but, Ishmael ain't lying when he says that's pretty far. Kind of just an island way out there. So he says that pieces of wood in Nantucket are carried about like bits of the true cross in Rome. So that would be like, I just find the juxtaposition very funny of a common thing like a piece of wood and like Jesus's cross. That's pretty hilarious to me. We also have his very funny claim that one blade of grass on the island makes an oasis, 3 blades in a day's walk a prairie, and that they wear quicksand shoes, something like Laplander snowshoes, that they are so shut up, belted about every way, enclosed, surrounded, and made an utter island of by the ocean, that their very chairs and tables, small clams, will sometimes be found adhering, as to the backs of sea turtles. I just find it a fun, kind of whimsical image of this island. The first interesting passage, I think, here is this description of like a pseudo-evolution process almost. Like it's not a biological evolution, but it's kind of like a seafaring evolution that Ishmael describes of the Nantucketers. He says they first caught crabs and quahogs in the sand. Grown bolder, they waded out with nets for mackerel. More experienced, they pushed off in boats and captured cod, and at last, launching a navy of great ships on the sea, explored this watery world, put an incessant belt of circumnavigations around it, peeped in at Bering Straits, and in all seasons and all oceans declared everlasting war with the mightiest animated mass that has survived the flood, most monstrous and most mountainous. That Himalayan salt sea mastodon, clothed with such portentousness of unconscious power that his very panics are more to be dreaded than his most fearless and malicious assaults. I mean, not only is that written extremely, well, but it's kind of interesting. It's an observation on the human tendency to grow and evolve and to always seek more. You might use a word like ambition to describe the way that human beings always seek out what's next, what's new. We're never comfortable with staying the same. And these Nantucketers are not so different from high school students who are always taking new classes or, musicians who are always learning a new piece. We're always striving to find some additional stage in our journeys of life. And I just think it's a pretty fun parallel. And then we have the one passage which I would argue really does connect to the main idea here of knowledge and understanding and truth. When Ishmael says the Nantucketer, unlike the British imperial ship or the merchant ship or the people who add land to their countries, the Nantucketer, he alone resides and riots on the sea. He alone in Bible language goes down to it in ships, to and fro, plowing it as his own special plantation. There is his home. There lies his business, which a Noah's flood would not interrupt, though it overwhelmed all the millions in China. He lives on the sea as prairie cocks in the prairie. He hides among the waves. He climbs them as chamois hunters climb the Alps. For years he knows not the land, so that when he comes to it at last it smells like another world, more strangely than the moon would to an earthsman. With the landless gull that at sunset folds her wings and is rocked to sleep between billows, so at nightfall the Nantucketer, out of sight of land, furls his sails and lays him to rest, while under his very pillow rush herds of walruses and whales. I think a particularly fun and imagery chock-full passage, but also obviously deals with this notion that what we're comfortable with, what our sphere of local knowledge or experience is, will change our personal and moral attitudes to our circumstances. That, as Dostoevsky said, man grows used to everything. That human beings are not necessarily meant for the land, even though we have so much biological capacity for the land compared to the ocean. Because knowledge is so contingent and so changeable, human beings can feel this deep sense of belonging on the ocean if they are born and raised and have their frameworks for understanding codified and forged in Nantucket as opposed to in, Illinois. So just a quick little chapter, but you can start to see how all these little fragment chapters form a kind of kaleidoscope that when you combine them all, you're seeing the same ideas presented in all of these different ways, kind of echoing off each other and bouncing off each other. See you in chapter 15.